Good afternoon. I'm Margot Shaw. I'm the editor-in-chief of Flower. Welcome to our 9th annual ADAC in Bloom presentation. We're having a little bit of a different format this year for obvious reasons. And I just do want to say that ADAC is open for business. And so that's good news. It's my pleasure and my honor to be able to introduce you all to Steve and Brooke Giannetti of Patina Farm's fame and Velvet and Linen fame. But they're known for their artfully designed houses and unpretentious elegance. Steve, a renowned architect, founded the firm in 1994, and his wife Brooke runs the company's interior design studio. She's the author of the popular design blog and Instagram account Velvet and Linen. And as I was telling her earlier, any of you who follow her and see her sort of quotidian world with her on the farm and feeding and brushing the fur of the cow, the little calf, and just the life of a farm, you know, it's like green acres out there, and it's just so fun. I feel like I know her. So you get this slice of their lives out there on this really Edenic farm. Steve has designed homes, I'm back to you know, him, around the world for clients in nearly every architectural style. His unique combination of classical and modern architecture appears in homes from California to Nashville, Maine to Maryland, and all the way to the French countryside. And they have 3 books and a new one coming out in spring 21 called Patina Homes. So is this presentation sort of a mishmash of all of your different books, or what is this?
Yeah, it pretty much is. It's our whole story from, you know, the first book to the end, to what some of the things that are going to be in some of the projects that are going to be in the next book.
That's exciting. So we get a sneak peek. And so let's go ahead and get started. I just have some things that I want to toss out to you before. I mean, you can go ahead and start on your first slide, but I want to find out where you two had your first inclinations that this is the world you were going to inhabit, that you were going to be designers and an architect, and that you were creatives. Where did that spark happen for each of you individually?
I'll let you start with that one, because I think it was a clear experience for Steve.
Yeah, I grew up in this place here. This is my father's studio in Washington, D.C. And I spent my summers as a little kid working in this place. My grandfather started it when he was young, and he came over on a boat from Italy. So it had this unique combination of modern, industrial, and classical sort of smashed together, covered in a patina of white plaster dust, which if you look at the work we do today, it's pretty much what it is.
I love it.
So, and what it had that I loved about it is, you know, I'm still using these kind of old benches and simple shelving, and we sort of created little homages to this space in our house, but it's been kind of fundamental in what created what I do with the work. There's another shot down in the basement of the storage room that's just almost a master class in design with, you know, industrial elements mixed with classical elements, and then very cool changes of scale. If you see the little guy standing in the shell opening
It looks
down
like
in the bottom. Yeah, it looks like he's performing, but there's something just wonderful about this sort of mix of classical, modern, industrial, and this changing of scales, and this real sense of mood and emotion that it all creates when you play it all out together.
Sir Walter Raleigh in the Hollywood Bowl. That's just a great,
I think that's constantly on.
Doing his of course.
Final presentation at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yes, he's just back for, no, go ahead.
But anyway, so I grew up with this. I interacted with like the architect of the Capitol. We would go work at, put in ornamental plaster at Monticello, we would just tour these things. I'd put up moldings in houses. The architects were never the ones at the top of the ladder sweating in 90-degree heat. They would just kind of roll in and point, and it seemed like a better job
Get
to
back
me.
into their air-conditioned car.
And then to get into their air-conditioned car and drive back to their office. So I thought, oh, that sounds like a better life than standing around with plaster dust in my pockets.
Yeah,
So,
but look what that has yielded.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's how I started out.
My story with design is a little different than that. I think I became aware of the power of design when I was in my teenage years, which wasn't my ideal time. I had a lot of, I was not the happiest teenager, but one of the things my parents did is they gave me the ability to design my own room and create my own kind of safe place.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was able to design a place and realized how a space could change your emotion and make you feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
and surround yourself with beauty, and how being surrounded by beauty was so powerful. So I think that's my first memory of the power of design, really.
And that's so, that's the root right there, is your personal experience of beauty and that shelter and that sanctuary. And you both are really recreating that for all of us.
Yeah, with both of it, it's always been so connected to the emotion. With Brooke, she doesn't have any formal training, which I've insisted she stay away from, so that there's a clear connection between her heart and her ability to design. I find that people that have too much training tend to worry about what's the style of the day and what is going to look good in the next magazine and all this kind of stuff that just doesn't matter. So we try to come at it from a whole different way if we can.
Well, it's soulful.
Yeah.
Can I just say that?
Thanks. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Do you want to go back to the house?
Sure.
Yeah, let's see that. Let's, because I want to talk about your journey from Santa Monica to today. So this is Santa Monica, and tell us about this house because it's charming.
Oh, thank you. Well, again, it was that power of emotion. I think Steve and I really wanted to design a house that looked like a happy family lived there, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of, and to have some history with the place. It looks like it's probably been there for 100 years. We wanted it to look like the original.
Yeah, an old Santa Monica beach cottage.
Yeah.
In Santa Monica, they tear down stuff like this.
Yeah.
So we wanted something that looked like the old 20s house that they would tear down.
Only inside, the spaces flowed more like we live now. So they were more open spaces. Mm-hmm. And so we created places where we could interact with our family in the way we wanted to now, in places where we could be doing different things at the same time, yet still be in the same space. Mm-hmm. And then this was about the time when we were really thinking about our own design style. And so we thought about bringing together our two different looks and everything that we loved. And we put everything on a table, whether it was old leather that Steve liked.
I'll go back to that image.
Yeah, go back to the one with, keep going. Yeah.
So it was, her old leather, old suitcases. Brooke would find beautiful soft, tapestries and things like that.
Linens and so we combined those to create our own style. The things that touched our emotions, that made us happy, and that's what became the first book, Patina Style, really discussing the things that made up our own design aesthetic.
Well, I love the suitcases, and I think I have some of those. I've never thought to use those as a coffee table, but it's just, it's all about improvising and repurposing, and that's great. That's a great look.
Yeah, that's the idea.
And then this is really where we started connecting with nature. We dug up our front lawn, and Steve and I created this vegetable garden in the front of our house. Our neighbors, I think, thought we were a little crazy, but it really gave us some peace in a very hectic life. I mean, like everybody else, our lives were filled with children's activities as well as our design work, and we wanted a way to kind of calm things down. And I found that in the garden. And then the next thing I knew is I found out we could have chickens in Santa Monica. Hey guys, that's the dogs. And so, you know, they were kind of, I always say that our chickens were kind of the gateway animal, you know.
Yeah.
And so we had so much fun raising the chickens and having our own eggs. So that was kind of what started our dream of living at Patina Farm.
So this is the empty lot that we came upon in Ojai when we built the house.
And
This
that tree
Yeah.
on the right, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this is basically looking like right from the front door right to the backyard.
Mm.
And it was, we sort of bought it the second we walked up on it. So we knew it was right.
It's a wise move. Yeah.
And there it was 5 acres. So these were some of the preliminary sketches we did, because we had never lived on anything bigger than a 50 by 150 lot. So, which is about the size of the driveway up there, if you look at the top. So it was, one of the questions was, can we completely transform our lives, relocate to another place an hour and a half away from where most of our projects were, work completely remotely, and live the kind of life that we wanted. So we were self-isolating before self-isolating was cool.
Yeah. Trendsetters. See?
Trendsetters, exactly. So these were just preliminary sketches, like some of the first sketches I did of the project. Just these big kind of open loft spaces with antique barn beams, kind of conceptually based on some Belgian design. And here it is, like last week or something like that, with the mist coming up. This is after you come in the front gate, you pass in this little kind of courtyard.
So really the design of Patina Farm is the same feelings I had when I was a child. So it was designing spaces that were comforting and had some emotional feeling to them. So you can see, like, we had selected a palette that was very calm. Even the plant materials we selected were of a certain color, you know, kind of pale greens and just whites in the front, and just wanted it to be very soothing. So, you know, again, because we still have hectic lives, we wanted to create a sanctuary, and we wanted people to feel like that when they came to visit us as well.
It's all about kind of creating that emotion where you kind of come into almost a little forest clearing, and you see the view actually through the house. You'll see the mountains in the background, and that big tree is like right behind the front door. And then when you walk in, go ahead.
Just a little aside. I had a great art history professor at Hollins where I went to school, and one of the things that I remember among so many was the blasted tree image that you see throughout art history. And so when I saw that big sculptural sort of scrawly tree, I thought the blasted tree, although it's not, I'm sure it's alive, but you got to have one great sculptural tree with personality and presence, and really that's it. You have it.
Yeah,
you know,
the tree's kind of in the foreground, of all the views.
It's funny because all of the houses that we've lived together, you know, where we've lived together, they've all had at least one amazing tree. Even when we lived on smaller properties, there was always like this one amazing tree that really we were drawn to. You know, that's funny.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah,
no, that's cool.
It's always been the giving tree.
Right, I love them.
And then, you know, inside it sort of goes again to our palette, you know. The simple plaster walls, the old beams, like from my dad's shop. So there's all these kind of antique beams, and the everything is sort of plastery. And then there's this kind of combination of masculine and feminine, the kind of masculine leather mat, you know, gymkhana mat with an old warehouse crate, mixed with these Swedish antiques, and
Wait a minute, gymkhana, like a horse show?
like a gymnasium,
Like a gymnasium.
like a
Oh,
French
okay.
gymnasium mat. That's what that is
Okay,
on their coffee
okay.
table.
Genius. All right.
So it's just this mix of things that really aren't about provenance. They're just about being cool. And then a little a group of piggies in the middle. That's a little sculpture of piggies in the middle of the picture. I don't know if you can see it. It's quite
I
cool.
can see it. Now that you mention it, I can see it. Yeah. I also really like how, you know, you have this great Flemish tapestry or whatever it is, a Gobelin, or I can't tell what it is, but you have that, which is pretty serious, but it's coupled with all these really informal, but even the French settee looks like, is that burlap? What is that upholstery?
It's burlap.
See,
Yes.
I love that. And then I also really want to remark on the fact that this, though it seems sort of neutral tone, you have these two little insertions of blue, which to me, can you talk about that, Brooke?
You know, I like calm spaces, and I also love spaces that, especially like our house is very connected to the outside. So really the inside colorings, you know, kind of flow to the outside. Your eye doesn't just stop at our interiors. You know, there's so many windows and so much connection that you really can't have like a red room, you know, in this house.
Yeah.
There really is a palette that's inspired by what's going on outside.
So basically, imagine the view out the window is art on the wall.
Right.
And that's part of the palette of your house.
Right.
Because a lot of people just separate themselves from the outside world. You know, they're just designing a house. Well, you're not. You're designing a spot, a place in the world. So this is another view of that same room.
Yeah.
Where a long vista down the hallway to an outdoor fountain becomes a part of that room. You know, that
access is so great.
that long axis, or a tree in the space connects you with the trees outside that window. Or just those little splashes of blue kind of tie you into the sky and the landscape outside.
Yeah.
And little pieces of the tapestry, you know, little pieces of other tapestry show up in pillows. So it's that really simple palette that just keeps showing up in different places and moving you through the house in a cool way.
It connects. Everything
Yeah,
connects.
exactly.
It's really wonderful.
And now you can see our little, one of the, you know, homages to Steve's history right there on that wall right there with all the plaster.
Yeah, so that's just little pieces of my dad's studio. Even the way the shelves are collected looks like the shelves at my dad's shop. Everything just sort of strapped around. And then you see a little bit of those steel windows that we use, that really pale gray steel window, like old French gray, that connects this house to the outside garden, with the stone outside coming in and the plants outside coming in and everything kind of mixing up. So you're not quite sure whether you're inside or outside half the time.
Which is ideal. For me, you know, might be a little confusing, but I'm kidding. But what I wanted to remark on was, you know, you see in magazines or blogs or whatever, you'll see someone trying to affect this look that you have on that wall. You know, that they've gone out and acquired a lot of things, and you know, an instant collection. And that's great. That can look really good if done well, or it can go badly awry. But what I love about this is that this is emotional. This is an heirloom wall. This is your history, your aesthetic history, and your father. And there, rather than have a big portrait of your father, you have this wall, and your grandfather too, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of what the idea is to bring your story in. Yeah, connect your story to your dream.
And I think that was another point we made in Patina Style, was that actually these pieces carry with them their own history, and you can feel, there's something about it that you can actually feel the story of the people who make them. Right?
Yeah, an antique isn't like a reproduction. They're nothing like each other. They feel different because antiques carry with them memories of people that have lived with them before. and real objects do the same thing. So that's why it's so important to have stuff that's real. You don't need crazy amounts of stuff. You just need good stuff, because it just makes all the difference in the world.
And also, if you don't have it and you're young and you don't know about antiques or heirloom furniture, you can, wait and learn and buy that one special piece that is going to anchor your interior, and then, buy reproductions until, well, maybe now you can buy antiques. I mean, brown furniture is not as popular, but we also hear that it's having a comeback. So that's exciting. But yes, the personality and, if you will, of antiques and old pieces that have lived with your family or your ancestors, it's just so desirable and special.
Yeah, the little chairs that are in the dining room, the blue chairs, we had those in Santa Monica. I've recovered them 3 different times. Yeah. So things will live with you for a long time if you like them. I designed those things years ago just because I couldn't find anything that looked like that I wanted. So we just
made it.
Yeah, we just made them.
And so the French chairs were old?
The French chairs are old.
Okay, yeah. Great mix. And so that segues into a little bit of a conversation about your furniture line.
Yeah. So we have a line of furniture. Yeah, we can go back one. Well, here's that chair, for instance. But what we had trouble is finding furniture that was scaled to antiques, because antiques are scaled smaller. They're slimmer. They're like a smaller scale, and more
refined.
Yeah, more refined. And modern furniture often is kind of big and clunky, because they're trying to fit all those springs in there and everything. So the trick, what we tried to do was to make stuff that worked with the scale of the old pieces, but felt sort of contemporary and fresh, and wasn't all fruity, like a lot of old furniture is.
He just
not too fancy.
You don't want any sort of extraneous flares or anything like that. We wanted them to be clean lined, and they add a little bit of some of our pieces are actually quite modern, so they kind of bridge it, and we like that kind of juxtaposition. Even our home is really a combination of modern and ancient. We don't have any baseboards or trim or things like that. It's very clean. We have some you'll see later on, or even in the picture we had of the sheet of glass where you saw right through the house like that. There are parts of the house that feel very modern, and then you get these kind of more rustic elements as well. I would say that our furniture that we design is the same way. It could have some very clean lines, but say we do it in a really great rustic linen or something like that, where you get those kind of juxtapositions.
Well, and so talk about this. This is obviously your kitchen.
Yeah, this is our kitchen. So we're sort of like going back to old French farmhouses with the stove, sort of where the old fireplace used to be, shoved into the wall with antique elements that we found in Belgium that's sort of up above the stove. The big sheets of glass that'll face the big view towards the back, or the big steel windows that face the view. Even the plants kind of growing in across the ceiling. Yeah, that kind of those kind of cool things.
We blurred the line between indoors and outdoors so much that the plants were confused.
Yeah, you can show you this in a couple of other pictures. You can go to the next one.
Yeah.
There's our bedroom.
That's our bedroom. So you can see again the kind of modern kind of sheets of glass on either side of our bed.
Yeah, I love that.
And then here's another, you can really see how the glass just makes the wall go away. So you have that kind of modern sheet of glass, and then you have this old limestone French limestone fireplace in there, which is, kind of what I love, that kind of.
Yeah, you get a boxwood inside, a boxwood outside. The glass just vanishes in between.
I might walk into that glass.
Well, that's why I have the little dog there guarding it.
Yes, exactly.
That's so thoughtful. Well, I'm with y'all. I love all these, the mix. It's all, your mix is so successful, but it's so heartfelt. And okay, some green everywhere here. Where's this?
Yeah, that's a little glassed-in porch
Okay.
that connects over to where our kids' rooms are. But this is an old porch that was, or the idea is it was supposed to be look like an outdoor porch, but they're just sheets of glass connecting between the wooden posts.
That's the story we tell ourselves. That's how we built it. It was never outside.
No, it was never outside. But
But
the houses, we always design houses with stories, and because the best houses actually grew over time. So our house has an old bell tower that was made out of stone, and it's got a crazy, ladder up to the top of it. There's parts of it that are ancient. There's parts of it that are new. There's parts of it that are barns. We have a whole story we made when we designed it to make sense out of something that out of the architecture, because it can seem a little crazy at times.
But this is the idea of we also create these outdoor rooms, so our house actually expands quite a bit when you consider the rooms we created outside. So this is outside our living room, and there's a fire pit right there. So we have like an outdoor space that is kind of connected to the indoor space. So outdoor living room, indoor living room. And then there's all of our gardens and
that's the little rose garden. That's that fountain you see from the other side.
Right.
So all these things are kind of used in multiple views. That's what's the little chicken garden. There's the back of the house.
Right.
That same window in the master bedroom. And then creating this sort of second layer with the trellises, the rose-covered trellises outside the master bedroom that create this layer between inside and outside.
Nice.
This is
our donkeys.
Our donkeys in the driveway.
Our donkeys.
There they are.
Yeah.
What are their names? Daisy? No. Where did I get that?
Yeah, this is Daisy and Buttercup, and we also have Blossom and Huckleberry.
Of course you do.
And then, this is kind of the idea of our life on the farm. We take breaks during the day from work and hang out with some goats or some baby cow.
What's going on here? Is that a goat begging?
Oh, these
on
guys?
hind legs?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they just like to eat the branches from the trees, so I pull them down occasionally, give them a little extra.
Steve's
oh gosh.
Steve is a big old softie.
So this is some of the stuff that's in Brooke's Velvet and Linen Instagram. A lot of like animal antics.
Yeah.
Yes. And these are a couple of our new recent additions. This is Beatrice and Clementine. They're Scottish Highland coos. They're cows. And we're actually just about to get 2 more little ladies. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
They're so cute. They're so cute.
Those are the animals. And then, it's just about this idea of bringing the outdoors in and just, kind of what we do. We live our life here on Patina Farm, and it's great.
Yes.
That was our dream. And
it looks great.
Which led us to making clothing. And this is some clothing that we made, and making clothing with our son Charlie at his factory down in Los Angeles. So that's kind of another thing we've been doing. And then that's kind of been our dream.
Gosh. Well, I'm glad it came true, and I'm glad we get to share in it. Thank you for that. Are you going to walk us through some other people's dreams now? Is that what this is? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I know that we don't have all the time in the world. That's why I kind of wanted to.
Yeah, I know.
We could spend hours doing this.
I could spend hours listening, but keep going. We don't have hours, unfortunately.
No. So you want to start telling them?
Yeah, here's a house that we did up in Atherton, and the people had a traditional house that they'd lived in their whole life with their kids, but it just wasn't working for them anymore. And we reimagined it as kind of a new traditional house, kind of a cleaned up modern farmhouse. Those double hung windows are 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall. So it's taking traditional elements and changing the scale and making it more interesting, and then connecting the indoors to the outdoors with the big steel windows, bringing in the antiques of different feeling, kind of taking the patina style from our house, which they loved, in reinterpreting it in a look, in a different kind of stylistic look. So it's something that we do a lot, you know, just how do you kind of reimagine our look for different people? And it kind of works pretty well. This is another piece of our furniture, but mixed with antiques.
That's our Alik sofa, and then you know,
There are a couple of chairs that we designed, or the sofa and the chair that we designed, but again, mixed with different antiques.
And those are old leather barrel back chairs, or
Yeah, I ended up copying those. We kind of make those now too.
Yeah,
Occasionally we come across something so good we have to make it.
They became our George chairs. But the idea was we incorporated the things that our clients love. So all the things in here have meaning for our clients, just like our house does for us. And that's kind of our goal. The biggest compliment we receive when our clients walk into their house when it's complete is when they come in and they say, oh my gosh, this feels so much like us. I mean, I don't want them to say, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, you know, it looks just like your house. I want them to really say that this feels like, you know, them, that's the point of it, that it feels like their history, it feels like their dream. So this was our client's dream in France. They have a vineyard and a winery near Bordeaux, and they asked us to help them kind of bring that kind of Patina Farm feel to their chateau in France. And we said, well, let me think for a minute. Yeah, sure, we'll do it.
Let me pray about it.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we did the same thing here. Again, this idea of bringing the outdoors in, we used a lot of outdoor elements like these cement pieces, and you know, the kind of the same palette, nice kind of soft linens. We didn't want it to feel uptight. You know, everything kind of flowed. The pale wood floors, the antiques. We actually, even with their chandelier, we actually removed half of the crystals, which I'm sure sounds blasphemous, but we didn't want it to feel heavy. We wanted everything to feel lighter, you know, but appropriate for a chateau, you know.
Well, it's more Provençal kind of, you know, it has that more rustic feel because it's a pretty stately chateau. But then you come inside and it has an intimacy that y'all have achieved for them, which I'm sure
we try to downplay it a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to do. And again, it was about like what we covered all the pieces in, some, you know, kind of a natural linen rather than doing a silk or something like that. You know, maybe we just add a little silk pillow to and a chair, but for the most part, all of the pieces were linens.
And then we brought all these plants in from the garden and sculpture in and old stone pieces, which she wasn't sure about, but as soon as she saw them in the house, she loved it.
Yeah, we pulled all these things from her garden and stuck them in her house. But we did the same thing for the bedrooms. You know, when we got there, all of the beds and all of the draperies were Fortuny, which are beautiful fabrics, but it was not the calmness that she was searching for. So we replaced them with just kind of simple soft linens in the fabrics that we love, and then added again those kind of pops of color in the pillows and texture in the antiques.
So just asking for a friend, where is that leftover Fortuny?
We did use some of it, as you can see. Some of this ended up in pillows, and I'm not sure where the rest of it is. Maybe it was Gone with the Wind. Maybe she made a dress.
Made a dress. Okay, all right.
We made a whole no, but and then this was another place for actually the same client. They have a beautiful home in Connecticut that is actually a series of historic houses that were combined to create one estate.
And so what happened with this house is the goal was to calm it down and quiet it so you could see the architecture. This room was all blue and fancy fabrics and pillows and all kinds of stuff. And we just sort of redid everything with natural linen and calmer colors and fabrics, and just connected it all to the garden. And all of a sudden you could sort of see this beautiful architecture that you couldn't really see before. So it had this really quiet palette, used these great kind of, soft green velvets, got rid of that dark blue on the walls, made it a real pale Swedish gray, and just kind of brought a calm and quietness to the palette of the place.
There's a lot of Swedishness in your aesthetic, I would say.
Yeah, I love Swedish.
Yeah.
The Swedish has a great approach. They have a classical language, calm, done in a less formal manner, with beautiful finishes on pieces. So it's more of a artistic, painterly approach to furniture, rather than say English piece or French, or like a more formal French. So it has the kind of bones of classical stuff, but like a palette of this little table here with the tea set on it, the colors are so great, or that black piece that's so great. So you were that
elegant cabriolet on the little tea table. That is, I mean, you can't find anything prettier than that in any French furniture. It's just lovely.
Well, the Swedish furniture was inspired by the French, but they did it in the way that they could. They used more
rustic.
Yeah, it was much more rustic.
Yeah, built more like the actual guy building it. Right. And we always like that anything that's closer to the craft is always better for us. This was a room we just sort of cleaned up. It was a beautiful dining room. We exposed the wood floors, did this great drape table, simplified all the fabric, brought these stone pieces in. You just want to, when the architecture is so great, you just want to kind of get out of the way and let the room sing.
I mean, look at the width of those pine floors.
Just phenomenal. Yeah.
And they were covered by tapestry,
like a needlepoint rug.
Needlepoint rugs, exactly. And so we just pulled it up and we were like, okay, no rugs.
No rugs.
No rugs.
And then this was a little dining room that we kind of found an old Swede, we kind of mixed the formal Swedish chairs in with this little space, created a little vignette with a couple of our pieces. Those are the same chairs that I have in our kitchen, the same blue chairs in our kitchen that we use in this one. But they scale great with the antiques in this space. But again, it's all about creating this thing that feels like that can work with the style, but feels natural. Again, this is bringing more outdoors in a little kind of connection wing in the a little piece of the building.
And those are our Clive chairs, which are kind of our interpretation of a wing
chair. Yeah, that's great, Clive. Y'all, we have got to segue now to our Q&A. Let's finish this house.
Okay, this is the last one. So there's just a couple of more. This is a little library we did.
Yes.
Couple of other little pieces.
And
this was a closet that this was an old attic we turned into a closet. All the clothes are behind those drapes around the edge.
I love that treatment.
And of course they own the winery, so we had to make them a wine tasting. And then there's our books.
And wait, so you have another one that's coming out. It's Patina Living, is that right?
No, Patina. So these are the 3 books that are already out.
They're already out.
Patina Style, Patina Farm, Patina Living.
So Farm is about our house. Living is about the animals in the gardens. Style is the first one we wrote about the architectural style.
About our aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then if you want to follow us.
We all want to follow y'all. I want to
go to the one in the middle.
Go to the one. If you want to see cows, we're getting 2 new baby cows in the next couple of days. If you want to see baby cows,
I do, and I already follow you, and it's so calming in the morning, Brooke, to tune in and see you brushing or feeding or just quietly in your quiet clothes with your boots and. Yeah, it's really, I'm not envious. My husband's an Episcopal priest and tells me not to envy or covet, but I can't help it. Y'all's lives are just there. It's beautiful. And so thank you for sharing that with us today and taking us on this journey through California to France and back. So here we are. We're gonna go to some questions. If y'all don't mind answering.
Of course.
So this attendee visited Ojai for the first time last summer and totally understands your aesthetic, how it's in harmony with the landscape. What are some principles that apply whatever the region?
What are some of the principles that apply whatever the region?
Yeah, I guess to maybe achieve that same style.
I mean, I think there's two things going on. What you want to look at is the sort of architectural thing in the architectural ideas that are going around in the area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you understand the stylistic nature and why people do things. You know, a house in the South is different than a house in the North.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to look at the landscape. So if you're tying yourself into a landscape, we did a house in, you know, mountain houses, and they have a different connection to the landscape and a different kind of feeling of warmth with the coziness that you need. So what you really want to do is sort of spend some time in the landscape, and it'll begin to inform how you think about the house.
Mm-hmm. Do you like any colorants in your interior white paint color?
You know, we, in our house, we didn't paint anything. It's this compound called California One Coat that you put on drywall. But what's the color that it's very similar to? Yeah, it's very similar to Farrow and Ball Webbit. That's the closest color we've come to. But we use Wimborne White. The Farrow and Ball Wimborne White is what we used in our client's home in Connecticut, as well as in France. But you know, whites are a challenge. It really is about putting it up and seeing how it looks because of how the sun, you know, where it faces. You know, a north facing room can be very blue, you know, so you need to kind of take that into consideration when thinking about a color inside your house.
Mm-hmm. So light is so important and so impactful.
Yes.
So, okay, well, that's helpful because whites are tricky.
Yes.
And I am going to go to another question. Do you have any difficulty with privacy when incorporating so many glass walls?
Not really, because we usually control the landscaping outside. So we can screen what we need to screen. Yeah. By, you know, once the privacy can be established 5 feet away with a tree or a hedge, you can change the way you think about drapes.
We love a hedge.
Our bathroom is has just a sheet of glass for the shower, and it looks up to a garden, but it's all hedged in. And it's soon to be a little wall because we're doing a remodel up there. But still, you can't see anything, and you can still enjoy the greenery from the outside.
Yeah. So expand beyond your house.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be worried about those animals looking in though. I just.
We found they don't care.
Yeah. You know what? If they want to look, it's their problem.
Have at it. Yeah. Have at it. Okay, what is y'all's favorite plant to espalier?
Oh, my favorite plant to espalier. I have a lot of roses, a lot of rose vines. A couple of my favorites are the white Eden, which is actually a very pale pink Eden rose. And then the pearly gates, which is just like a peachy pink rose that we have on the trellis by our bedroom are two of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. And that really is about the only pink anywhere on site, isn't it?
Yes, we have a bunch of different pink roses. I have 2 David Austin rose gardens, and they're filled with a multitude of colors. I started out with just kind of pale pink colors, and now have expanded to all kinds of colors, which is so much fun and a way I really bring color into the house.
It's the main way we bring color in.
Yeah,
because
that's
we
a good
kind
one.
of like the neutrals most, on an everyday basis, but the kind of seasonal plants really make the place.
Mm-hmm. So we have someone here who wants to know about in the Connecticut house, were all the wall colors custom or were they from a certain company?
Farrow and Ball.
All
Farrow
Farrow
and
Ball.
The gray was pavilion gray, kind of the blue gray on the walls, on the wood, and the like I said before, the walls were windborne white, Farrow and Ball.
And what about the exterior?
The exterior was there, so I'm not sure what color it is. It was
Really something.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
great.
great.
I mean, it looks like it could be plopped down in the 17th century in the
Yes.
colonies. It's just really, and that blue on the door.
Yeah, 17th century house.
Yeah. Oh, well,
So
there you go.
they plopped it.
They
They
did
popped
plop
it
it
out of the
down.
17th century and just dropped it right there.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, y'all have brought it into today, though. So who makes the steel windows?
Our house, we had them custom made. I had an iron guy do it, but the best company we found is a company out of Ventura, California, called Riviera Bronze.
Okay.
They make the smallest 3/4 inch mullion. They look great.
Don't let he's gonna get all architecturally geeky on you.
Yeah, I'll get super geeky, so I'll
No,
just.
please do.
Yeah.
Please do. I love that.
It's
So,
the key, making them super thin.
well, it's working for you. So here is just a comment that I have to read because I'm really touched by this, and I know you will be. I've loved seeing your beautiful home and living the dream, bringing the outside in and vice versa. Equally, how you've emulated that in your clients' homes. It has brightened up my evening. I will follow you on Instagram. Best wishes to you from my island in Scotland.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh, that's so great.
That's where our cows come from.
Yes.
I bet she knows those cows.
Yes.
It's the place where we get our cows and Steve gets his whiskey.
Yeah, I get my whiskey from Scotland too.
So yeah, just we love Scotland. So I want to ask about what year Patina Farm was built.
We've lived here for 7 years. So
Yeah.
2013. So
Yeah, we built it from.
2013.
Yeah, we built it from scratch.
Yeah,
So
so
it was supposed to look like it's been here for a long time,
It
but
does.
years old.
It does look like that, and it's just such a beautiful medley of both of your ethoses and your souls, if I can go back to that. So the last comment that I'm going to read is, I love the sconces, and I don't know which ones they're referring to. Are there some in particular that?
sconces.
I don't know if they're the ones in there, the little swing arms.
Were they swing arm or were the ones in our dining room? The ones in our dining room, if they're those, very, Aiden Gray. Our house is a combination of high and low, and they were not very expensive.
Which is so helpful because I think it's important for us to realize that nobody has to have everything that is of the highest quality. I mean, just a simple design doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be an antique if you like it. And
Yeah.
high-low is so helpful now, giving people permission.
For sure. And I think the other thing to really think about is palette is I think palette is very, very important. So, you can do something in the palette that you love, high or low, and create a kind of an emotion through that.
That'll be the thing that holds it all together. We'll put flea market things next to expensive things. If it feels right, it's good enough for us.
Yeah. And it's also so much about your personal choice and your personality. And if you like it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And not everybody would do those suitcases for a coffee table, but you did, and I would. And so it's about freedom and that cliche or hackneyed word, authenticity. you know, but
Right.
it's really right. It's making your house yours. And you'll have done that.
Please, everybody.
Yeah. No, just you
Yeah.
or your clients. Well, we have to sign off now, but I want to remind everybody that this new book, the name of the new book that's out in
That's coming out is called Patina Homes.
Patina Homes in the spring of 21. So be sure and go wherever and pre-order. And that is all we have time for today. But I want to thank you two for joining us. And I hope I get to see you face to face again sometime.
Yeah.
For all of those you who don't know Brooke and Steve, I met them and was with them for one evening. And they may not feel this way, but I feel like they're my new best friends. And I want to go out to.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a blast. We felt the same way.
It was a fun night, and we're going to get you to Birmingham by hook or by crook as soon as all this lifts. So thank you again for joining us and for
Sure.
opening your world up to us. And
Thank you for having us.
yes, our pleasure. We're going to say goodbye to all our attendees. I'll
Okay.
talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.